So I don't have much time, and I will probably stutter a lot. So let me jump like straight to the point. So first of all, branching. So I will be talking today about branching in Figma. So for me, it's like the ultimate way to version your work in Figma. That's the last discovery from like half a year ago, which I fell in love with. And right now, like I can't imagine working without branching. But before that, I will let you know who you are listening to, like if you don't know me. So first of all, I'm Daniel. Hey. You can know me from LinkedIn, from I don't know, a couple of Facebook groups related to design, from Dribble, from maybe Zabochi Design Park, so the design meetup that I'm organizing together with my squad from Software Mansion. I'm a user interface designer or design system designer at Software Mansion, and I'm daily cooperating with developers, and like that's important for the sake of the topic of today's talk. And I'm Figma psycho fan, at least for now. We will see how it goes if you know what I mean here. And I'm stutter, so you can already hear. Like in Polish, it means jąkać się. If you don't know like the word, and what does it mean? Like I speak with uncontrolled disruption or blocking of speech, and in my case, like it's showing as repetition or prolongation of vocal sounds, and that's the wonky definition. Let's say, and in simple English, it means I'm repeating myself. So words, parts of words, like letters, even the vocal sounds, and I can't control it like right now. It's like for me this is like a genetic disease. Like I can do much about it, so I will do my best like to let you listen to me as smoothly as possible through the talk. So that's for the intro, like very quick one. So that's the schedule for today. I divided my talk into 3 parts. The first of all, I will describe to you what branching is, so my brief like description, explanation, what the branching means. Then we will go through who is the branching for, so who can benefit from using branching, and the last but not least, how to boost branching, so my tips and tricks on how to make this experience a little bit better. Yeah, so go on with the first one. What is branching? Let's imagine that we have the Figma, like the typical Figma file, right? For the sake of the presentation, I call it, for example, the login flow, as you can see on the thumbnail. And this file can contain some, for example, let's say 10 screens for now, for the sake of the presentation, and we will call it main right now. So this is our main, and we create a branch of it. So we are going into, let's say, some external space, but we are still in the context of the login flow. So we are still on the login flow file, but in some other space. And this branch contains everything that contains the main. So for example, those 10 screens. So branch is like a kind of duplicate of the main file, but not really, and I will explain to you in a second why not. So we create a branch to, for example, iterate on some idea. So we've got a couple of iterations inside the branch about some idea, some task, like whatever. So we work in a dedicated space, and we leave the main untouched. That's the very important thing. So we are not working on the main. Everything that we do, design, check, review, everything is on the branch, or the branches if we got a couple of them. And so we do every creative stuff there. And like for now, that's the simplest explanation I could came up with, especially like in English, how the general idea about branching works, right? So what's the big deal about that? I said that branch is kind of a duplicate of the main file, right? Like a couple of seconds ago. And I was lying, because it's more like a mirror reflection rather than a duplicate. Like, and what's the difference? I will show you. So watch me right now. If you got if you got the original file, for example, in my left hand, and I'm doing the duplicate of the original file, I have two independent things. So if I change something on the original file, it won't appear on the duplicate, right? That's the definition of the duplication. And how it works in Figma about branching, if I got my main, right? And I'm doing a branch out of it, and I will change something on the main, it will be reflected on the branch. So it's not a duplicate, it's a mirror reflection of the main, of each branch in the same context of the file. So for example, the context of login flow, right? And like that's the first very important, I don't know, value, let's say, about the branching. And second one is that Figma tracks changes in comparison to the main. I will repeat that one more time. Figma tracks changes in comparison to the main. And what does it mean? Let's say we've got those 10 screens, as I said, on the main file. I'm creating the branch out of it because I've got task to, for example, update 2 screens from those 10 and add 2 additional ones, right? So if those changes will be, for example, accepted by my client, I will someday merge it to the main, right? And when I'm merging it, I'm not merging 12 screens, so I don't have 10 and 2 additional ones. I'm merging only 4 screens because Figma tracks changes in comparison to the main. So everything that Figma tracks and like do something about it are only changes that are compared with the main. So it doesn't matter how big my file is or how big reflection I will do on the branch. It only cares about the changes, right? And if things that I've did on the branch are pretty bad, like I don't want to proceed with merging this to the main, I can always archive it without a need of reverting anything. Like I don't need to copy paste back screens that I've changed because I can just cut the rope and forget about the branch because the main stays untouched, right? I didn't mess with the content inside the main. That's why I'm creating a branch. And this is when the fun begins. Because you can have, for example, one Figma organization. If you are working, for example, in a big company and your company has Figma organization, then every organization can have several teams. Several teams can have several projects. Several projects can contain several files, and every file can have multiple branches at once. Of course, like being a designer, you don't care about everything in your organization on Figma, but still, there is plenty to track on, multiple branches, updating, so reflecting the new state of the main on other branches, archiving it, and this happens on a daily basis. So there is no a magic time where you are doing this stuff. You need to keep track of the branches every day. That's our job. And it may sound scary and overwhelming because of the amount of branches or amount of work that we need to keep track on besides designing, because that's our job to do designs, and this is more like a management thing. But this is actually pretty dope, and if you get used to it, for me, I don't think right now about caring about the branchings, the branches, and so on. I'm doing this instantly with the habit, right? And if this sounds familiar to you, because it can, you are probably right, because Figma is using Git system that is well known by our close friends, developers. For them, this is an essential skill to use Git, and you can't be a developer without knowledge how Git system works and how to be fluent with it. And for us designers, it's something new. Like since now we didn't need to care about branches, about version controlling that much. So if you still don't understand the concept, you can always ask me after the talk, or just ask any of your dev friends, because they will know things even more better than me. So that's the general idea about the branching, right? So I assume you already know how it works. So who can use it? Who can benefit from using branching? This edition of Design Ways is about crossing perspectives, right? So I prepared 4 perspectives, 4 roles that can use branching in the same place, in the same file, in the same Figma, and so on. So first of all, we've got the designers, and we can, with the branching, we can explore the ideas as freely as never before. There is no need to create a couple of files for iterations. You don't need to care about some sandbox pages and so on. That's how, for example, I used to work while, for example, iterating on something, trying to come up with new ideas. Before branching, there was no a cool way to do so without doing a bigger mess inside Figma. Right now, you can just create a branch and do whatever you want on that branch. Feel pure freedom, because you will not broke anything, because everything is on separate page, separate space, so inside the branch. Secondly, you can keep clean and neat files. So I will repeat that one more time. The main stays untouched, right? So there is always a clean state of Figma that you can refer, watch, screenshot, showcase, whatever. Because every mess, every creative mess, let's say, is happening on the branch. There is always a place where things are pretty clean. And the last but not least, test and update design systems like a pro. And I haven't touched how awesome branching is while working on the design systems, because that's the whole new world. I could came up with the whole talk or even a workshop about how to use branching specifically on the design systems, and I don't have that much time right now. So for now, you need to believe me and wait for the next talk, probably about that. Second perspective is about the developers. So they can know exactly what should be developed. They will never again implement not accepted screens that were flying somewhere around on Figma, because we had the single space to do everything, right? And the second thing is about avoiding distraction by irrelevant content. So with external boards, so branches, we can show changes that were made that was made in for the particular task or job, and not the whole big board of things. So that's probably the biggest advantage for developers that I'm seeing in my own project, that right now I don't need to explain what should be done, because everything is pretty obvious with the branches. And what is more about that last card is that we have the additional customizable space for handoff. So this is like new segment for our handoff process that we can customize, make our own, apply our own ideas, and so on. The third perspective is for testers. So they can easily compare Figma with production. And this is so important. And this is so huge boost for them to focus just on the changes that we have made and not scan the whole Figma over and over again that they are used to it. So right now, they don't need to track the Figma once per week what has changed, because everything is pretty obvious with a couple of branches attached to the Jira task, for example. And the last thing, track changes to update automated tests quickly. So this is similar to the developer's case. because the difference is that they are implementing the features, for example, that we've designed, and the testers are changing the automated tests. So for them, it's so important like to have just the changes about the things. I don't need to like over-invent the things during the sprint and just save time. And the last perspective, so perspective of the client, first of all, they can see only things that really should see. So it's about narrowing their focus just on the things that are very important right now and matter the most. So changes, new things, maybe some bug, maybe some very important tasks that we would like to close this sprint and so on, without the need of talking on the big picture that some clients are used to it, to always find things that for now are not so important for the sake of the progress of the project, right? And secondly, client always has the main file to scan the progress. So once again, main files stays untouched, right? So there's always a file to refer during calls, during, I don't know, pitching to investors, checking the progress, and so on. So always, there is always a clean space, not under our construction and creative like work, to have the current state of the project somehow on some couple of files, right? But the list of course the list is endless, and I can name a couple of other benefits or other roles that can be boosted by branching, such as the whole, for example, management side of the project, so product owners, product managers, and so on, and even previously mentioned roles, but divided into different experience levels, right? So the junior may have other perspective on branching than senior, for example. So you already know how the branching works. You probably know who should be doing what with the branching. So how to boost it, how to make this experience a little bit easier, better, or our own. So customize the flow of the branching. So first of all, task number inside branch name. And this tip isn't for us designers, because this will help mostly the management positions. And for me, that's probably the coolest tip from this presentation that I'm used to do every time right now. So this makes product owners' lives easier. Product owners are the people that managing the state of the project, making the plannings, take care of Jira, and so on. Because they can easily scan our branch list and know what is currently in the move without the need of entering each of the branch and checking it manually. And that's the huge improvement and time saver for them. And for us, this is a couple of letters inside the branch name. Secondly, separate page for creative mess. So you can still have your own way of doing pages inside the file, and that's okay. And we can still have the task board. That's my custom name, but you can call it whatever you want. So sandbox, scratchpad, and any other ideas. But that's for me, task board sounds cool. So I'm doing everything that the task, so the branch requires on the single page. I'm doing the inspirations, the creative mess, wireframes, mockups, even the review stage. And after everything is accepted, I just simply move corresponding, move the screens to the corresponding pages. So for example, in this scenario, I could work on some improved flow login overall, and move half of the screens into the login screens page, and half of the screens to the onboarding models, and merge the branch. But before merging, ask for a review. So if you have more designers in a team, let them know what you are merging, and let them double check you. And like that's not my whim, because developers do the code reviews constantly, and that's the part of their process of working, right? So it allows to be like the whole team on the same page, what is going on, what has been designed and well, and it's like ensuring the quality and so on and so on. Like code reviews, so the design reviews are pretty cool like method to if you have other designers to not detach from the team and still be on the same page across the team. And the last tip is about archiving the branches. So try to keep clean list of branches and not cluttered one. Archive all branches that are irrelevant right now, because you can restore them anyway. So active branches, and you can see on the right, maybe I'm hiding this a bit. If like the active branches should be for the recent work. So the work from this sprint, from the last sprint, maybe from upcoming sprint, and the rest can be archived, because you can always restore them if needed. And if you want to know more, there is always Figma documentation about the branching. I can recall 2 or maybe 3 videos on Figma channel just about the branching, so a couple of materials to learn from. And of course, you can always hit me up on the conference after the talk, on the link on the LinkedIn as well. We can just chat. And that's probably it. So I hope you found it like interesting, and you will check out branching at work tomorrow. So yeah, thanks.